there, Paul. Good stream tonight. I unfortunately was only able to catch the very tail end of your stream, but looked like some good stuff going on. Glad to see that you got progress, projects progressing. Yeah, I think tonight's not gonna be too long of a stream for me. I had a very long weekend. And a long day of work, but we're gonna focus mainly on doing some weathering tonight on this C425 here from Lifelike. So that's gonna be our main task of the evening, and I should be able to do that without too much effort. But I got a couple things, one thing. I guess I got one thing here at least to show off before we really get started. So I have been working on, and I brought up, and I think it was 2 weeks ago now, the Around the Layout podcast's question of the month, which was what's your favorite detail on your layout that's not locomotives or rolling stock. And my answer was the ACI CarTrack scanner that I built that still needs paint. It still needs paint, but I figured I'd show it off here on stream because I'm pretty proud of it. I guess I should probably kill these lights so we don't get weird blue going on. There we go. So this is my CarTrack scanner in N scale. And you need to be quiet. Intuit TurboTax. There's no need for all of that. Let's see if I can get this to focus on the scanner that I built here. So it needs one more detail, which is they would have had a little control panel on the side of the post and a wire going from the control panel to the actual scanner itself. But I built this out of some styrene sheet and some brass rod stock. I need to just get that those two pieces on there. And the panels are just going to be another couple pieces of styrene glued together, and the cable is, I think, going to be, where did I just put it? There we go. Got this, I think this is my 28 gauge jewelry wire. So I'm just going to basically do something like this. Something sort of like this, going down to the panel, and you can't see that at all, I bet, because it's too small. But you know, I'm just gonna do a little loop and glue it to the back of the box and to the side of the panel, and then I'll get that on the layout finally. After I get some silver paint, and that'll be at one end of my layout as the train's leaving town, so all the ACI labels get scanned. But this is a fun project to work on. It's my first like kind of multimedia kit bash, scratch build sort of thing, I guess. Oh, not really. It's my first time working with brass stock. I'll definitely say that, and it's, I think, by far the smallest thing I've tried to build. But this cross beam actually needs to come down just a little bit. It's angled up a little bit, but I'm overall very happy with this. What I'll do is I'll post a picture of it in the Discord after the stream, so people can see it closer and better and whatnot. But on to tonight's main show, main activity, main entertainment. I don't know what I'm saying. I'm kind of tired. It's been long week and a long day of work, and I just want to do some trains, man. Where did my put my blade? There we go. So we're gonna start with some white. We're gonna do all powders for tonight, I think. This is the first time I've weathered a locomotive in months. I think since like last summer or something, so I'm a little rusty. That was not an intentional pun, but it was a fun one, and I'll take that. Alright, so let's prep some white powder to fade, and then I'll put a little bit of black powder in with that to get us a nice gray. Just a touch of this soot powder. Use this. Yeah, this brush will do. Pick up some of this soot and mix it in. Now I need more white. I put too much soot in. Now it just looks like almost like cinders. I made some very nice cinders, but that's not what I was going for. So I need a little bit more white in there now. I want it to be kind of a light gray. That's what I'm aiming for. How is everyone's evening going? Hopefully well. Hopefully everyone's had a good week, good weekend, good restful weekend. I had a lot of fun this weekend. I had my brother's high school show, which was a lot of fun. They did Mary Poppins, which was, you know, it's always a fun show. And then I had the model train people, had a meetup down in Jersey. So I drove a couple hours down there with my layout. Got to meet Billy B of the Rail Brothers, Billy and Danny Brown. It's good to get to know Billy more in person, because I've spent a lot of time chatting with him on the server and stuff like that. So it's good to see him and get to know him, and of course saw Eddie and a couple other guys from the server as well. So it was a good time. Yeah, and then in between all that, I went to my brother's show a few times, so it was good. Good to hear, Paul. Glad you're having a good night. That's probably good. Alright, let me get this out of the way temporarily. I got to take my paper towel. Let me wipe down this model real quick. Make sure it is clear of dust and fingerprints and other such things that contaminants, I suppose, is the best word for it. Let me get on some gloves. There we go. And then I gotta make sure I pull up a reference image as well. I'm looking forward to getting this locomotive weathered. It's always looked way too clean to me. Let's see, what else? What else can I share that I've been working on? Well, I've been slowly working on the layout. I've been trying to get my new So, ups and downs with the layout here. I've been trying to get my new Caboose Industries power routing ground throws installed, and I've just been having issues setting aside enough time to sit and just solder everything to test it out and get it working. But unfortunately, I wasn't even able to. I kind of lost motivation to do that because my NCE power system crapped out on me. My NCE DCC system. I think what it is because when I was younger, I really didn't treat it so well. I just kind of had it out loose and not really in anything to protect it or screwed into any layout or anything. And I think the board just kind of gave out because I tested my power cab itself. Power cab works fine. I used a multimeter. I tested the wall wart. Wall wart was fine. So I came to the conclusion that, well, I guess my PCB board is burnt out, which stinks. So that kind of demotivated me for a little bit, but what I got, actually, I traded to Eddie. I gave him a nice book on the Chesapeake and Ohio's, what's it called? The George Washington train that they ran, the Names train. And I traded that to him, and originally he was going to pay me for it, but because I brought my layout and I didn't have anything to run it with, he brought a DCC EX setup for me to use. And when I gave him the book, he said, "You just want to keep the DCC EX setup?" And I said, "If that works for you, that's fine with me." So now I have to do some research into figuring out how DCC EX works so I can get the layout back up and running. I would just get the... So what I can tell, from what I can tell, Paul, it's the PCB board that the panel attaches to, that you plug in your wall wart to, and you plug in your power cab to, and all of that. This guy over here. Grab it. This piece seems something in the, I don't know if it was if one of the traces broke internally, or I don't know, but it's shot. I plug, if I plug in to the wall wart system, I get power off of these, but I'm not getting power in to the actual power cab. The power cab doesn't turn on or anything. And I tested the power cab by bringing it to another layout that uses NCE. I plugged it in. It came up just fine as a normal Pro Cab control, obviously, because they had a Pro Cab system, not a power cab system. And NCE is, from what I can tell, having some manufacturing slowdowns right now, production slowdowns. So these are out of stock basically everywhere. But yeah, that would be great, Paul. I think I will do that. I'll take you up on that offer. Yeah, I just haven't gotten around. I was looking for a new one because this one's old enough that I would have been fine getting a new one. But they're out of stock everywhere. And if it can be repaired, I'll send it up to that. But in the meantime, I'll have my DCC EX set up now. This is something that's been happening over the last week or so, week and a half or so, and I've just been kind of too busy to look into actually repairing it or getting it repaired or anything. So I'll bring it up and pass it off to you, Paul, maybe at Ops Till You Drop, and we'll see if we can get it out to Jim. Or yeah, that would be nice, but if not, it's not the end of the world. But so I've been dealing with that, so I haven't been able to really run anything until this weekend when I got the DCC EX set up, and Eddie kind of got that all set up while I was at the show, or at the meetup. So now I have to figure out how to actually get it all set up. Obviously, the plugging it in part is fine. I have to figure out how to get it connected to. So he gave me an old Android phone because it was designed with Android engine. I think it's the Engine Driver app. uh, in mind. That was kind of the starting point for DCCEX as far as controllers go. But I was looking into it, and there are some for iOS devices. There are some apps that supposedly work for iOS. So I'm going to look into that as well. But first things first, I want to just get it working with the Android device that it worked with at the thing. Alright, so let's go ahead and... That's a lot of powder on the brush. We don't need that much powder. Let's go ahead and get started here. Oh, I wanted to pull up a reference image. I have a reference image in my mind because I was looking at that on my phone earlier. But I should pull up a reference image for you all to watch along with. New Haven C425. No advertising, please. Thank you. Yeah, I like my NCE system, and I don't really want to get a new system. I don't really want to stick with DCCEX permanently, but DCCEX is, I don't know, it's got its perks. Ups and downs, like everything. Is there a picture of 2555 out there? I'm not seeing any. It's a U-boat with a couple of 425s behind. Two 555. There's a picture of 2555 and it's actually it's a very neat picture. Unfortunately, you can't see the locomotive at all. Here, I'll pull this picture up for you guys real quick because it is a nice picture. It's a black and white one that doesn't help me too much. And let me pull this picture up for you guys because this is a very nice picture. It's a very cool picture. This one. Copy image address. Paste it here. Close. Turn that on. Very cool picture of 425 number 2555, which is the model I've got here, hanging out in the snow in Maybrook, according to the caption, February of '69. So just, you know, a month into the New Haven's Penn Central era. A very cool picture, one that I'm fascinated by. Unfortunately, it just doesn't show the locomotive well enough for me to use it as a reference model. It's snowy. I actually do want to make some snowy trains because I think that's super cool. I really do want to do that, but not with this one. This one's going to be in general service. If I eventually, I have to decide with my next layout I build if I want it to be snowy or because yes indeed, awesome, good to hear, Paul. That's good stuff. Last I saw it was 1-0. I think top of the 6th. So that's excellent news. That's a pretty decent one. What was I saying? Oh yeah, so I keep in my brain I keep going back and forth between if I want my next layout to be set in, you know, mid-fall, early to mid-fall, when the colors are starting to change, or all good. I've got to decide if I want it to be early mid-fall when the colors start to change, or if I want it to be kind of early to mid-winter, almost in a way, kind of like the what's it called now? The Androscoggin and Western Maine of my Conflone, although he does late winter, early spring, but that same kind of idea of kind of dead scenery. Of course, I would want a little more snow than he has, but yeah, I think I'm gonna go with this one as my reference picture. But I keep going back and forth in my mind on what the scenery I actually want to be will be. Yeah, I really need I need to find a time to get up to Mike's layout, because dude, the former Allagash, now Androscoggin in Western Maine, that's always been one of my biggest that's always been one of my biggest inspirations as a modeler. It's a phenomenal layout. It runs phenomenally from everything I've seen. You know, I've seen Chris Adams has been up there recently. There's our reference photo that I'm going to be using, courtesy of Alco Mike on Flickr. Exactly, yeah. I do really like the Guilford Oxford County locomotives, though. The U18Bs that he just got with the big OCTY on the side. Those are neat. But yeah, when I learned that he was doing a run with the Intermountain, I did need to purchase some of those. I think I just got one, but in N scale, the only car that they were running was the 3-bay covered hopper. I really don't have a need for 3-bay covered hoppers on my current layout, and I don't think I'll have one on my future layout. But I needed a piece of Allagash in my railroads, you know, stock. Just because, you know, I've been collecting a bunch of other freelance stuff, between stuff from home shops and stuff with my Microtrains has done some heritage collection runs. Yeah. I really wish that Chris had put had run the Farland car in N, because I would have loved to patch out that Farland terminal for the Bean CCS, because the time period would have been just right for that to be like a brand new acquisition for the Bean CCS, with it being, you know, the end of the per diem craze being late 70s, and I model mid 70s to mid 80s. I would totally beat the heck out of a couple of Farland terminal cars and slap some Bean CCS reporting marks and a logo on there. Because I know on the episode that they announced it, I know Mike was saying how he wants to see all the patches and all the weathering and everything that people do on those. So I would have been happy to oblige. Unfortunately, it's just too big. It is simply too large of a piece of rolling stock for me. I mean, of course, I always could get one anyways and patch it for the BNCC as an HO, now that I've got some HO scale decals. Which reminds me, I gotta see if I can get I gotta see what the deal is, if I can get some more BNCCS HO scale decals in time, or if I should bring you this set, because I want to bring you a set of BNCCS cars when I head up for, or I don't think I'll get you a car. Well, we'll see. I might get you a car, Paul, but if not a car, then at the very least a set of decals to get up, bring them up at ops till you drop, and hand those off to you. Those will fit in quite well, I think, on the GWT. The thing with me getting more decals for it is the insane person that I am. I made the ACI label decals, and I made them accurate to the road number on the boxcar. So, if I get more numbers of decals, I can't just use the same ACI label. It's got to be a new ACI label with the correct number, because I've already started down this path, which means, of course, more processing fees for me when I if I'm getting sets individually, which is why I'm kind of, I really kind of want to get them up on what's it called? What's the decal? Highball with Jim Abbott. I want to get him up on Highball Graphics. That way I can just kind of keep sending him more graphic files with the updated labels, and then you can keep putting them up for sale. Of course, it's a lot easier in N scale to do that than HO, because in N scale I can put, I think the way I worked it out, I had half of it. I had like 8.5 by 5.5, so half of an 8.5 by 11, and on that I could fit enough decals for two HO boxcars or 4 N scale boxcars. So I made the graphics for the N scale boxcars for 4 road numbers, but I could only fit 2 on the HO car. On the HO car file. So just yet another way that N scale is a better scale. Just kidding. Precision Masters. Precision Masters. I'm not sure. Let me do some quick research here. Oh, okay. I'm not actually sure, Paul. Why is my computer zoomed in like that? What's that? Where is... I'm looking through... So it looks like it was a small company in the early 2000s, cottage industry. They made, I guess they made couplers. Yeah, body mount couplers. Images. I'm honest. I'm gonna be honest. I've never heard of them before. No, you're good. I'm all for distractions. Yeah, I don't know. They look like... Oh, you know what they look like? Okay, I actually do know these couplers. Where did I put that box of coupler parts? Is it over here? No. I don't know where I put it, but I actually have some, I think. Oh, it's up. It's buried underneath some. I think I have some that I took off of rolling stock. So the only thing I don't like, they're really nice couplers. They stay together well. The only thing I don't like about them is they're fixed. They don't actually operate. Although these actually are slightly different. These look like they do have some bend to them. Interesting. I don't know. Interesting rabbit hole to go down. I don't know what you saw on saw for or what you're looking into these for, Paul. But I don't know. I'd never like really heard of the company before, so from what I was reading in that thread, I was looking through a RailWire thread. It looks like the guy who started the company ran it for a number of years, and then sold all the molds and remaining product he had to Red Caboose, and then retired. So I guess it's no longer in production, anything from it. But interesting. The N-scale couplers that I am very, very excited to see how they turn out are the N possible couplers. Let me pull those up real quick for anyone who has not seen those. N possible. Here we go. I'm going to go ahead and quickly screen capture, turn that on, turn this off. There we go. So this is the N possible coupler company. If I go to their YouTube channel here, they've got some really, let me do this, that way you can see. So there's the coupler on a piece of N-scale rolling stock. Very close to scale, basically scale size. But they actually open and close like a microtrains coupler. There we go. Here's a demo that they posted. Well, that's an advertisement for a Marvel movie. Hey Kyle, I am doing well. It's good to see ya. I'm just showing these off because I think these are super cool. These are basically N-scale couplers that open like yeah, those things aren't going anywhere, huh? But they actually open like microtrains couplers or Acme couplers or Kato couplers or any of the above. So I'm kind of waiting. I'm kind of waiting to keep swapping out couplers until these come out, because these are supposedly in production right now. I saw these at the N-scale Enthusiast Convention last year and was just enthralled because they are tiny. They are scale couplers, basically, with like detail on them and everything, and they work really well. Yeah, they're very similar in like to Sargent's, except with Sargent's it actually has just the knuckle that moves. This still has the two-piece leaf that opens and closes like that. But they are very reliable. They have nowhere near as much slinky movement as the microtrains couplers do, which are my only real complaint about microtrains couplers, is they've got a lot of slinky movement with the springs, and they also are, obviously out of scale. But they are very, very... I was trying to remember what the name of those couplers were, but they're very similar to Sargent's in being functional scale couplers. But this train is fully equipped with those. And this is backing down a grade with no problems whatsoever. On a normal N-scale with microtrans, some of those cars would be very bouncy back and forth. as the coupling spring compresses and releases. But you can see this is a very long train. Yeah, multiple units up front here, 3 locomotives, and they're all pushing with the... Actually, 4 locomotives, it looks like. Yeah, 4. I miscounted. So, really awesome couplers, and I'm looking forward to... to getting my hands on some. But yeah, the sergeants are super cool, but it is kind of annoying that you would need a special tool. Yeah. Oops, that's not what I want. That's what I want. Anyways, back to the weathering. But yeah, so that I just wanted to show those off real quick because we were talking end scale couplers. But yeah, those are very impressive. And I'm very excited to actually see those come out and become available. Alright. So that's looking pretty good. If I can ever get this stanchion to go back into its slot. Where did I put my, where did I just put my, there it is, my tweezers. Yeah, I've only ever seen sergeants once, and they look fantastic. Excuse me. Let's weather these trucks. Let all that truck detail come out. Yeah, that does make it. If that's my issue with, because Microtrains has scale couplers. They put out scale couplers for end scale for. I think they might have for HO as well. But my issue with them is that they're not operable, or at least not easily operable. I think technically they do operate with the same mechanism, but they're so difficult to get coupled and uncoupled. It's not worthwhile to me. Like, I'll probably, I have some. I'll probably put them on, like, if I ever do like a display only train or locomotive or something, I'll put them on that for, you know, for like NMRA judging or something like that. But and actually what I might do is next time I work on something that when I work on the piece of rolling stock that I'm gonna bring up to reminds you, I actually gotta talk to my girlfriend and make sure I get registered for the NMRA convention. But when I bring some rolling stock up to the NMRA convention this fall, I should probably make sure I swap my body mounts out to scale couplers for that, because that'll help me with my scoring. Yeah, we're doing some weathering tonight. Kyle. Decided that this Alco Century has been clean for far too long, because it's been up and running for probably 5 months now, 4 or 5 months now, with decoder installed and everything. And that is far too long for it to remain this clean on my railroad. So I'm dirtying it up. making it, giving it its road wear. Giving it a bunch of grime and grit and character. I mean, it's you know, it can't hurt. It can't hurt, right, Paul? The last time I sent when I sent models up for last year's convention up by you guys up in Lake Shores, I sent 3 models up. I couldn't even make it. I sent them up with my division superintendent, and 2 of the models took first place. They didn't quite make it. They didn't quite make it. They were like each like 5-6 points short of merit for AP, but they both won first place. And I was just kind of, that was my first time ever doing anything for getting anything judged. So it can't hurt at all, Paul, to send them up, bring them up and put them in. Worst that happens is you put them up there and a bunch of people go, "Ooh, those look cool," and then that's it. Let's get some soot going from the exhaust. Oh wow, Kyle. Yeah, that's usually about what I try and aim for. I try and get them weathered. Basically, as soon as I'm done working on it, I try and get it weathered, because it just adds so much to the locomotive to have it weathered. It just builds character. Well, yeah, that is true. Yeah, you just give him to Ed. Ed will take them for you. Yeah, with those modules, space will certainly be at a premium. It's a good point. Although surely you can fit a couple locomotives in your bag or something. Although I do forget that HO locomotives take up a lot more space than N-scale ones. I always forget that. Because, I mean, an N-scale locomotive case is about that big. Like, this is the case for that locomotive here. It's, what is that? 6.5 inches long by an inch and a half wide and an inch and a half tall, roughly. So I can pretty easily fit that in my bag. And HO locomotives, I do know, take up a bit more space than that. So that is something that I have to keep in mind when I'm talking to you guys who model up in the big scale. Let's get some soot in the some darken in some of these vents here. Actually, funnily enough, these vents seem to be whited out. Oh, because these are the intakes. I forgot. All right, well, let me darken them in. That way we get the inside of the... Sounds good. Sounds good. Thanks for stopping in, Paul. Always good to chat with you. But rest well, and I'm sure I'll chat with you some more tomorrow on our super secret, top secret project that we're working on. Have a good night, Paul. See you around. So how have you been, Kyle? I know you're only stopping in for a short while, but how have you been? Hopefully good. Alright, there we go. Let's darken in these just a little bit. Oh, this looks so much better with with this light weathering on there. So much better. Yep, work, work, work. Yeah, I know how that goes. It was a heck of a day at work for me. And very busy working on a project. Some switching to layout over the weekend. Very nice. Yeah, that's what's great about switching is even if you just add like a little switching area, it gives you something to do without having to really worry about setting up too much. That's why my layout's a switching layout. And why my next layout will be primarily a switching layout too, I think. So, good to hear. Good to hear that you're keeping some fun going in there, despite all the work. Ooh, don't do that. I'll show you this. I showed it off the stream earlier, but you weren't here yet. I was working on this before stream tonight, just making sure this is all ready to go. This is my little N-scale ACI car track scanner that I built. It's just basically a couple pieces of brass tube stock soldered together, and some styrene put into a box with a little wedge at the front. It's going to sit trackside and scan the ACI labels on all the freight cars that I put on. That was my first real little kit bash that scratch build that I worked on, because I've built a couple buildings now, but nothing of that kind of super small scale detail. So that's been fun to work on. I've got to add one more little piece. They had a little control panel on the side of the stand that they're on, and a wire going between the control panel and the scanner itself. So I've got to get that going, and I'll post up some pictures of this once I add that control panel and get it painted. But I'm very happy with how that's come along, because it's been a fun it's been a frustrating at times project because of how freaking small everything is. But it's been a lot of fun, and it's been totally worth the effort to get that. And I'm very, very excited to get it on the layout. Alright, let me get a little more white only into this. Go. And then I'll add a touch of my brown powder to this to give it just a hint. Oh, well, I need a little more than that. That'll do. Just to give it a hint of color in there. Go. Now we're gonna replicate that dust that we see around the intake grills, the back of the locomotive, as well as the trucks here. Thank you, Kyle. I'm very happy with it. I can't wait for it to be painted and added to the layout. It's going to look really cool on there. Between getting that on there and finishing up the propane industry, I think I might finally have enough work coming. Might finally have enough work coming onto the layout in order to do another layout update, which would be nice. Oh, wow. Yeah, I bet. That's cool, though. I think the most frustrating part about this build for me was soldering the brass stock. Because I'd get one piece soldered and into position exactly how I want it. And then I'd go to solder the other piece, and it would heat the solder on this, and it would sag or move out of the way. It was... Oh, man, I spent about an hour or so just soldering those two pieces of brass stock together. It's ridiculous. There we go. Yeah, that's something I just kind of... I mean, obviously it's... I just... Basically, what I just did was... I just soldered it like I would anything else. And I'm sure that there's something I did wrong with it, but I don't really mind so much because it's just a little detail that's not going to see a ton of attention. It's going to get painted over anyways. So I'm not super worried about it, but it seemed to have worked fine the way I did it, which is just solder it as per usual. Like I said, I'm sure there's some more correct way to do it, but hey, it worked for me, and since I'm not going to be doing a ton of it, that's good enough. But yeah, I figured if I use brass stock for the supports, it would be a little sturdier than if I used styrene, so that's why I went with the brass stock. There we go. That's looking pretty good. Exactly. That's why that's what I'm saying. I'm just painting over it with some shiny silver paint anyway, so what do I care? Okay, this locomotive has come out very nicely. I'm quite pleased with the results here. Now, if only it had an accurate cab, this would be wonderful. If you notice, the cab of the model here is different than the cab on the prototype. If I just white out everything in the background, hopefully it'll be able to focus a little better. No, it likes my hands better for some reason. But, come on. Focus, dang you. well, you can kind of see. So this has the horn on the roof and the horizontal. Well, you can't really see that. This has the vertical headlights. You could see better if I was able to get the lights to turn on there, but it's got vertical headlights. Whereas, as you can see in the prototype photo, the New Haven had horizontal mount headlights and front cab mounted horn, 2-chime instead of a 3-chime. But it's alright. Eventually, I'll either get someone to 3D model it for me, or 3D model it myself and get it 3D printed, or 3D print it myself, or whatever, and I'll get it so it fits the dimensions of the lifelike shell here and everything. But in the meantime, it's close enough for me that I'm not, I don't have the tools to get it perfect, and it's not such a huge deal that I'm, absolutely devastated that the that the cab isn't perfect. I would very much like the horizontal mount headlights, because that would give it its iconic New Haven look relative to the other locomotives in the series. But exactly, it's one of those things where unless you really know what you're looking for, you really couldn't tell. I can only tell because I've looked at images of these locomotives and this model back and forth for so long, finding reference images and stuff like that. Because I actually also, I did do some modification that I could do, which is the prototype, or the model here came with dynamic brake equipment here. It came with this panel had radiator fan here, as well as some exhaust vents out the sides here and here. And I shaved those, I sanded those down, filed those down, got it nice and smooth, painted it black again. That's why you can see there's some slight discrepancies in the actual finish of the paint. That's because I didn't I forgot to refinish the stuff that I covered over. So that's where that came from. But I that was a big enough difference because it had like 5 or 6 extra vents down each side, I think, and it had this hump on the top for where the exhaust was, and that was enough of a difference that I was like, yeah, that's worth changing. But if I don't have the tools and I don't have the skills and I don't really care that much, it's not worth putting this basically on hold until I can convince someone to 3D print the correct cab, or wait until I can purchase my own 3D printer, which I don't know when that'll be. Alright, that's looking pretty good if you ask me. I think it needs a little bit, so I think what it needs is a little bit more of this on the pilot, and then a little bit of dirt on the pilot as well. Let me get this dark rust powder put away before I pardon me, spill it everywhere. But yeah, the big difference really between that's noticeable to me is the vertical mounted headlights on this one give it I don't know, more of a standard appearance, whereas honestly the New Haven units look just a touch goofy, if I'm being perfectly honest. With their, they look just a little bit like almost nerdy in a way. With the rounded cab windows and the crowded forehead of the locomotive, so to speak. you know, above the cab. So that's why I would very much like to eventually get it correct, because it does have a certainly unique look to the locomotive. But like I said, this is good enough. And thank you. I tend to agree that this is looking pretty good. All right, I think that might do it. I think that might do it. So I'm gonna have to. This I am gonna have to seal and probably do another layer and seal again, because there's just so much gloss finish that the powders don't want to stick too well, at least on the roof and the fuel tank, which I would very much like to get the oil streaks that are visible down the center of the fuel tank in this reference photo here. But so yeah, that was I'd say that was a fairly successful evening, and I think I might leave it at that for tonight, because like I was saying earlier, I had a long day of work. I had a fun but busy weekend, and I need some rest. So there's 2555, looking like she's spent some years out on the road, which makes me very happy. So with that, I think I'll wrap it up. So thank you all for hanging out with me tonight. Kyle, thanks for hanging out, popping in, saying hey. Paul, thanks for chatting. Everyone else, thanks for just hanging out and watching. I hope you guys have enjoyed. I'm working on, I'm gonna aim to have a new video out by the end of the week. I have two backlog videos right now that I've got to work through. One is on the T-Track module. The other is from last month's op session at the Juniata Secondary. So I'll be working on hopefully getting those put out. Like I said, one of those should hopefully be out by the end of the week if I don't get too busy. So thanks so much for hanging out with me tonight. I hope you guys had as good of a time as I did. And I will see you all on the next track. Have a good night, everyone.